Mhm.
What are the reasons that they should consider pay-per-click advertising? And maybe they've never advertised anything before, or they've spent very little on any type of advertising. What are the basic advantages of pay-per-click?
When we're talking about pay-per-click in terms of search, we're looking at people who are showing interest in your product already. They're putting whatever search query it is that's related to your field into Google, and they're going, I'm looking for this specific thing. So then we already know that this person is somewhat aware of what the product is and what they're looking to do. They're literally just looking for an option at this point. So that's the benefit if we're talking about search. If we're talking about something like social media in terms of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn as platforms to advertise on, it's a really great way to just find people that might not be aware of you, but also haven't quite started searching, but they're in that process of starting to search. So all of these platforms have the creepiest ways of figuring out your information. I won't delve into it, but it's like really kind of gets really granular sometimes. So really having a two-prong strategy where you have a little bit of cold audiences, so that's Facebook, Instagram, display advertising, and then you have a combination of something which we call warm audiences or hot audiences, which would be the search to kind of bring them in. So oftentimes, and this is an argument that I have with a lot of clients all the time, where they'll be like, well, our display campaign's not doing anything. And I'll sit there and look at the data on the search side, and I'm like, yeah, but impressions have gone up. And they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, but it does.
But it does.
These people know your brand now, so now they're looking for you and what you're doing. So they're correlated, even though display is not getting the credit for that conversion or that click or whatever. It's still part of that process. And in Google Analytics, or at least in the Universal Analytics, because there's a new one rolling out pretty soon, we're able to see what the path looks like for each person. So it might start organically. They might come to your website and say, hey, I'm looking for to sell my house for cash or something like that. And then they leave because they're just like, it's just a thought. And then eventually they'll go, hey, let me go back to that website, but they already remember your website, so they come back directly. And then again, they leave because they just need a little bit more time just to think about it. And then suddenly they see a display ad, so they click on it, again, leave, come back as a direct user, again, leave. And like, you can actually just watch that entire process go through. And then sometimes you can actually figure out if there's commonalities between people who have converted the first time on a first page visit or on a third time page visit, and then kind of try to figure out a perfect strategy. And also, the one thing that I think a lot of people forget is that users need to see a brand about 7 times before they even consider purchasing from them. So that's why we see those in and out dips quite a bit. So a lot of clients will be like, well, they should have figured it out right away. And I'm like, that's not how this works. And then I often go back to them and I'm like, okay, so you're about to buy you're about to drop $100,000 on something. I'm like, are you really going to do it on the first try? And they'll often stop and sit there and be like, okay, wait, you're right. Like, that's not going to happen. It's not a $10 item that we can spend our money on, lose that money and be okay with it. 100 grand is it's going to take quite a bit of time to make that back. So we have to think about those things a little bit more seriously.